Welcome to another episode of This Old Hooptie, where I take this piece of crap and make it into something a little more pretty, I hope. In today's episode, we're going to take this 15-year-old new used door and we're going to make it match the rest of the car. We're going to do a professional spray can paint job with automotive base and 2K clear from a can. Let's get into the video. Alright, I've already removed the pinstriping. I'm just going to quickly wipe off the residue with some wax and grease remover. Then I'm going to quickly take this mirror off and we're going to tape off around the entire door. That way while I'm sanding, if I hit the edge, I'll hit the paper and I won't mess up or make this 2010 beautiful paint job any worse than it already is. This way our, new used door really stands out against the, backdrop of what it is. This is definitely something that anybody can do if I can do it. You guys saw, if you watched the other videos, we went to the junkyard. We picked out the door, we swapped out all the parts. That was 150 bucks. So these paints and this stuff is probably maybe another 200 bucks max. So a little bit of time, 350 bucks, and you've got yourself, a car that's gonna last another 15 years as long as none of the other parts rust off. And everything else looked good. That's why it's worth it to replace this. So this door's in pretty good condition. I'm starting with 400 and I'll go up to 600. I really just want to get all the orange peel out of the existing clear coat, so when I get my layer of base on here, it's nice and smooth, so the clear coat will do the magic and make this thing really shine. Alright, I'm going to switch over to this soft block after I tape everything off. Let's get that done. So if you've watched the channel, you've seen this a few times by now. I use these pre-taped rolls to kind of go around everything and then spread it out and tape it off. You can also just use regular painter's tape and some of this painter's plastic from either Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever. I find this stuff quick and painless to go around everything and just kind of get it done. Alright, click you guys back on in a second. I gotta get this mirror off and then we can get the tape started. Be right back. Alright, so this isn't our first rodeo, and we've stopped paint from getting on other things in the background before with the cans. I'll throw something over the tire here, and I'll drape something over the back half of the car and over this. If the paint is going to go any direction, it's more than likely going to go that way because I'm going to crack the garage door. So, I don't think we're going to have a problem. Let's keep going. Now, this is Honda R530P, and that's Basque Red with Pearl. I've never sprayed this brand before, so we're going to paint something else and kind of just match it up with the rest of the car, see how it looks, make sure it's pretty damn close before I go and hose this whole door down. Obviously, yes, it's not ready yet. We still need to sand this, but while I'm sanding, we could be letting this dry, and then I can compare the paint in this can to the paint on the car. Alright, before we get started, let me quickly spray something with the can that I'm going to be using to do this door. I've never used this brand before, so we'll find out if it's any good. I'm just going to spray this stick, let it dry while I'm sanding this, and then we'll match it up against the car, see how it matches. Alright, this is drying much faster than expected, and it is actually a beautiful color. Let me show you it up against the other paint here so you guys can see what it looks like. I need somewhere with light so you can see the pearls. Alright, so you guys can kind of see the pearls shimmering there. Alright, the stick doesn't have any clear coat, so obviously it's going to be a little bit different, but it is really close. Definitely close enough to make it look good. Alright, so all of the stats of my garage are right here. As you can see, 54% humidity. It's about 77 degrees. Pretty good for painting. Tell you what, this is so nice to have. I wanted my glass cleaner. I just looked for the one that said glass cleaner. Wanted my primer right next to it. Primer and spray paint cans. Oh man. Okay, now let's clean this panel off, remask everything, and get ready for the base coat. I'm just going to give this a tiny little spritz in the corner here with some etching primer. It's barely even noticeable, but might as well since we're here. All right, I don't see any other exposed metal, so we're going to let this flash off for about 10 minutes, then we're going to get into our base coat. All right, it's been about 8 minutes. We'll touch this over here. This is ready to go. Just going to knock this self-etching primer a little smooth. Nice. That's nice. All right. We're going to be using base coat from R&E Paint Supply. Link in the description down below or off to the side if you need more information about it or you guys want to get some of it. That's where you go and get it. Gonna shake this for a few minutes. Shake this up for a couple minutes, and then we're going to get our first coat on here. Gonna let it dry for 8 to 10 minutes. Check it out on the side. Second coat, third coat. You guys know how this goes. So the tips on these, I can already tell you, is not very good. There's no fan pattern whatsoever. But we can just keep a close eye on it, go a little farther backwards, wet it up a little bit more so we don't get stripes. So this is just the first coat. It's going to be ugly. All right, let's give this thing a little wipe down. So far, I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you, I'm very unhappy with these tips. Even though it's supposed to have a fan, it's really just coming out in a small circle pattern as you saw. But for the first coat, this is going to be fine. There's no runs, there's no issues. This will be good. We'll wetten it up a little bit more on the second coat, which will make it look nice. I think, no, it won't. See, it's a totally different type of cap. I was going to try and switch it for the 5-in-1, but it's a different cap here. So what we'll do is we're just going to have to keep it moving and keep everything really, really wet. That way we don't get any stripes or patterns in the paint, like blotchiness. But this should be good. For our first coat, it's fine. It's sticking to the door. The second coat, we're going to go a bit thicker. So let's set our timer. We're going to do 9 minutes. I would have liked the I would have liked it if these cans had a similar tip to these cans. You know, I wonder if I can use, you know what? The, yeah, okay. All right, so the Spraymax 2K Clear has the exact same type of cap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap this cap onto this can. These match each other. That way I can get a nice fan pattern so I can get a better paint job out of this, because the little tiny circle just doesn't do well. It's hard to overlap with it. And since this has pearls and whatnot in it, I really would like it to look, you know, nice. So since I have 2 of these, I'll just use the same cap for both. So let's just test this out. Oh, that stuff's drying really quick. This is actually ready for the next coat. Before we do that, let's test out my theory and the Spraymax Clearcoat. Let's see what happens here. See how much thicker that comes out? Look at that. Much better. All right, let's get back to the door, coat 2. Now you guys can spray this however you want, this way or do it in sections. For this paint, I kind of like the sections. All right, that's a little bit thicker, but it's looking good. Just get a kind of a light on here, see if I missed anywhere. All right, this is looking nice and even now. We're going to do another wet coat like that. All right, we're gonna need one more coat to even everything up, but this is looking really good. Set my timer again. All right, let's give this a little bit to flash off. Everything looks nice and even. Really happy with how this is coming out. There's no blotchiness, no issues. We're gonna get one more nice wet coat on there to even everything up, and then we'll get the clear coat on. I'm definitely going to complain to these guys about their caps, because had I sprayed it with this, you definitely would have seen the stripes because it was just way too stripy. This tip and the other can as well has a, it's just not very good. It's not made to do a fan pattern. It's made to do a single circle pattern. So these, I'm sure most of you guys know how these cans work by now. If the can tip, the nozzle, is horizontal, you're going to be shooting a vertical line. If it's vertical, this piece here, you're going to be shooting a horizontal line. So make note of that before you start spraying. Always spray it on something outside the panel so you know what you're getting. All right, it's been 10 minutes. We've got our handles and extra pieces with their first coat. Let's get our third coat on the door and keep moving forward. All right, that looks really, really good. Give you guys a close-up. All right, that's the base coat. All right, this is 3 coats of the base. Hopefully it's coming up on camera. It's really nice. There's no blotchiness. There's no stripes, no issues. Got our first coat down over here. Those look good as well. All right, time is up. This stuff is flashed off. It's ready to go. I can touch it off to the side. It's just a little tacky. That's it. The Spraymax 2K Clear, the Glamour Clear, you're going to take the red top, put it on the bottom, give it a little press. You'll hear it pop like so. It should pop back out. As you can see, it did. Now we're going to shake this thing up. Once the bladder inside here is popped, we're going to mix it up, and that's your 2K Clear. Got the hardener and everything baked in. Put on a mask and go to town. All right, first coat's good. Hopefully you guys can hear me. First coat's going to be kind of light. Second coat will be more wet. Third coat will be the wet. Let's go. Now, I'm about 3 inches away from this door. All right, so I'm spraying this about 4 inches away. So, and I'm keeping it at the same pace the entire time. That's going to be coat 1. 10 minutes on the timer. We'll check over here, see how it is, see if it's ready to go. I'll see you back in 10. All right, in the meantime, I got the final coat of paint on the handles. We'll let those flash off. We'll get our second coat started here in a couple minutes. And then after that, we should be able to get our first coat of clear on there. All right, let's just check where we're at. It's a little tacky. Nothing's coming off. Not bad, not bad. All right, coat 2. Let me get my mask on. Let's get going. All right, this is the one where we should start to see the shine. overlapping 50%. All right, let me bring you guys in for a look. Now you can see me nice and clearly. We got a really good shine, and this is just coat 2. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Okay, the shine on this is really, really nice. While we're waiting for coat 2 to flash off, quickly got coat 1 on here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Those are looking nice. We'll let that flash off. We'll get a second coat on there after we get the third and final coat on the door. All right, let's give this a quick check. It's ready to go. Here goes our third and final coat of the clear. All right, guys, third and final coat. It's looking good. All right, I'm gonna let this flash off for a while. I'll bring you guys back in. I'm not taking any of the tape or the masking down. We'll do that in a few hours. I'll be back in a bit. So is this perfect? No, of course not. It was done in a dirty garage with the garage door cracked, dust and whatnot flying around, but it's definitely good enough to get by on a 15-year-old car or even something newer. Take 1,000 grit to this thing, 2,500, etc. Cut and buff it. You'll have a show car finish. All right, it's been a couple hours. Let's quickly get this girl unwrapped, and then we can see what kind of matching we got going on here. All right, guys, you be the judge. I'd say we're pretty close, about as close as we're gonna get. For what it is, it's really nice. I mean, you guys can clearly see my reflection in there. Here's the same thing on the original door. Same thing on the quarter panel. Not bad for some stuff shot out of cans. So I got to continue letting this stuff harden up. I did one more coat on this too. The door handle is beautiful. Same as the lock. All right, I'm gonna let this thing harden up overnight. Same thing with the handles. In the morning, I'll take it out in the sun, give you guys one final look, and we'll wrap this thing up. Be back in a minute. All right, this thing's all back together. It's about as good as it's gonna get, and I need to get my black truck back in here so we can continue working on the suspension. So let's get this thing out in the daylight, get one final look at it, and then it can go back to its home. You guys get a full look of this car, just so you can kind of see what we're dealing with the ouchies and whatnot. It's kind of hard because some of it's not in the sunlight, but you can see where we're at with this thing. There's our beautiful new door. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. You guys know what to do. Like it if you like, don't if you don't. Subscribe to keep up with my latest shenanigans, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. For those interested, the next video is going to be a DIY 18,000 BTU air conditioning install. I got a split unit for the garage. We're going to get that in there, and we are going to get the black lowrider back in the garage to finish up the air suspension and a paint job on that thing. I'll see you then.